What's up everyone, NanMan here with another modern meta breakdown video. And the cats have come to see me today. So we're going to be talking about a new deck that's new to Modern after Modern Horizons 2 came out. So I'm going to do my best to try to pronounce the card, but it's not going to go well. So the card we're going to be talking about today is the asmoranomardicadaistinaculdacar, or some variation of this card. All right, you guys can see it. It's hanging out up here. So there are two different versions of the deck that we're going to talk about. So in this episode, we're going to highlight the way these decks work, why you might play these colors over the other colors, as we kind of highlight what the strategy is the deck is trying to do. If this is your first time watching the video, if you enjoy it, please consider hitting that subscribe button so you can see other cool content that we're going to be working on. Without further ado, let's jump into our kind of deck breakdown. All right, cat's still rubbing his head on the mic. So the first list that we're going to be highlighting is our Hell's Kitchen list, or at least that's the way they're referring to it. It is kind of the rock version, right? We're focusing on red and green. It's more tutor effects. It's more taking the sacrifice aristocrat-esque strategy that is that kind of throwing a cat in an oven, right? If you guys are familiar with Historic or standard with like that Jund sacrifice kind of stuff, it's similar to that is what we're trying to do here. So you can see there's the three main cards that are going to be consistent across both lists, rotating above my head. There'll occasionally be new images that are going to pop up over there for you guys to see when we're kind of highlighting specific cards that we need to talk about. But you can see there's more creatures in this list than in the other lists, and we'll talk about the reasons why that's the case. But there's tutor effects in here, Finale of Devastation, which is kind of a better tutor than Court of Calling. You cannot convoke with it, so you can't tap your creatures to make it cost less. But the fact that it does cost one less green, and you can get creatures back from your graveyard, it's got a little bit more upside. So being able to tutor up some creatures is pretty nice. In addition to having tutor effects, we are caring about throwing our cats in the oven, right? Cauldron Familiars in here, our Witch's Oven to generate food, as well as go with that kind of drain strategy of slowly chip away at your life total, because every time Cauldron Familiar enters battlefield, an opponent will lose a life, you gain life. And then you can sack a food and return it from your graveyard to the battlefield. So fun stuff. But the main idea is this discard outlet. You can see the cards kind of rotating around on the right hand side. The Asmo, as we're going to be referring to her, because we don't have to worry about struggling through that name every single time. It's a 3/3 that whenever you discard a card, you can pay a black or a red to be able to cast Asmo. Now, when it enters the battlefield, you can search your library for an artifact named the Underworld Cookbook, reveal it, and put it into your hand. So, Underworld Cookbook is kind of continuing along with our discard strategy, right? Discard a card, create a food token. Seems pretty good. You can also be able to sack Cookbook for 4 mana, tap it, and then be able to return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So you can kind of keep going with this Asmo strat. The other benefit with Asmo is you can just start killing off creatures. Sack two food tokens, and then target creature deals 6 damage to itself. In Modern, most of the creatures have less than 6 toughness. If you're fighting something that has more than that, you're probably playing against Tron, and they've played Ulamog. And at least at that point, Asmo's not going to help you. So pretty much Asmo can kill off the majority of the creatures in Modern at this point in time. But the strategy is that discard strategy, right? So that's why you can see that this our Daredevil is in here, right? So cost 4 mana, we're not casting it. It's not in our deck for casting. We don't care about it. Cool. When another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you can return it from your graveyard to your hand. That's the part we care about. We care about discarding this to our cookbook and then being able to, create a food token. Guess what? Food tokens are artifacts. So you get Daredevil back. And then it's just constant fuel. Just throw it into that meat grinder, make more food, boom, 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 churn that stuff out. So really cool to have that sort of synergy tied into the deck, and that's why regardless of what colors you're playing, you're running that. The main reason to be running this Hell's Kitchen version is if you like this sort of cat food token strategy. All right, it's got our Troll King in here to generate even more food. Right, when it enters the battlefield, you get 3 food. It's Vigilance and Trample again at 7/6. So hey, even Asmo can kill this guy. So if you get into a mirror matchup against a strategy like this, you can get your Asmo out, sack 2 food token, and kill off their Troll King. You do be able to get your Troll King back from your graveyard though, because if you sack 3 food, you can return him from your graveyard to the battlefield. So only activate that during your turn. But with the amount of ways to generate food tokens, right? If you have your cookbook, every turn you can be like, I'm always getting at least 1 food token. Sacking your Cauldron Familiar, I'm always getting 1 food token. So it's easy. Just wait 1 more turn, boom, get another food token, and then be able to bring it back from your graveyard. So it's a graveyard matters deck. There's other discard outlets, like this version is running that Lothless Troll, basically just another sack. Like, hey, I need more ways to discard, boom. Plus it's got a threat, a trample guy. Every time that you're discarding a creature card to him, you get to put a +1 counter on him, and you can regenerate him. 2/1's not very scary, but if you are missing out on like your cookbook yet and you want a way to kind of accelerate out, get Asmo out on turn 2 or turn 3, I guess it would be, you can play Lotless Troll on turn 2, turn 3, you can be able to discard, boom, cast Asmo from your graveyard, get your cookbook, start generating all that value. Street Wraith is in here because, again, cycling counts as discarding. So you are being able to cycle Street Wraith, pay that 2 life, draw a card, discarding Street Wraith, pay the black mana to be able to cast Asmo, profit. So that's the way that this strategy is working. It's more creature focused, more tutor effect, drain and gain strategy for the Hell's Kitchen. If you like playing those sort of creature matter strategies, those tutor type effects, this is the strategy to go for if you want to play Asmo. Seems really cool, can kill off creatures, like it's awesome. One thing to highlight with the land bases, as you can see, we've got Urborg in here, Yavimaya is also in here. Lands are looking pretty normal that you'd expect to see. Peatland, Overgrown, right? We've got some Blooming Marsh in here, like Verdant Catacombs. Urza Saga is like a must in these strategies because of the fact that you can be able to search up and find those artifacts that matter, right? And this, it's caring about the cookbook. It's also caring about Witch's Oven. So being able to sit here and tutor up for those seems pretty good. Also, the creature that you generate off of that second saga stage does matter because of the amount of food that you're making. It's going to be a pretty scary artifact creature to deal with. So do keep that in mind if you're trying to build this strategy, how you need to kind of tweak your deck and adjust your deck accordingly. So that's the Hell's Kitchen version, right? It's very creature oriented, very similar to old strategies. Now we're going to shift gears a little bit and we're going to switch over to Urza's Kitchen. All right, so we are back with Urza's Kitchen this time. You can see creatures a little bit less because we are very much caring about more artifacts in here. The way this is set up, it is a Grixis list, even though the red or the black in here, it's not really, doesn't really count. It's really a blue-red list. You're running black specifically for our Daredevil, which is just fuel for your machine, and then you've got Street Wraith, which again is fuel to be able to cast your Asmo. So ignore the fact that there's black in here. It's not really a straight up Grixis list. It's a blue-red artifact list. Ragavan Nimble Pilferer is in here, and he's in a lot of red decks right now, and a lot of people are trying to fit him into as many lists as possible because he's really powerful, right? You're generating treasure whenever you're dealing damage, combat damage to an opponent, and hey, I can tap this for mana, keep accelerating things. Also, when you're dealing damage to an opponent, you can also be able to exile the top card of that player's library, and until your next turn, you can cast that card. You've also got kind of that dash ability there, so you can be able to zip him out and get him back to your hand. So super cool to be seeing him in there. The other stuff that's in this list is all artifacts matter, right? Emery's in here, so you're costing less if you have more artifacts. Mill top artifacts, you can cast an artifact from your graveyard. Urza's in here, now your artifact can tap for mana. And we've also got our thought monitor, so hey, it costs even less because I have so many artifacts. It's now a 2/2 flyer, so I can start getting in some damage if things are gummed up on the ground, and I draw cards when it enters the battlefield. The difference between this list and the other one is very straightforward. I care about creatures. I'm tutoring up for creatures. I'm draining you. I'm just running my machine, and it's more focus on what I'm doing, and I care less about what you're doing. Because I have Asmo to kill your creatures and everything else, I'm just running my machine. Where Urza's Kitchen is more of, I can react to what you do. I have more staying power in here. I have running lightning axes in here, so I can be able to destroy your creatures, not just with Asmo, but now I have lightning axe, so I can be able to discard a creature, or any other card really, doesn't have to be a creature, deal 5 damage to a creature, and then cast Asmo right afterward. You also have got your Metallic Rebuke, which is some counter magic, right? Being able to basically pay 1, counter something, seems like a pretty good one. All right, you can be able to tap your artifacts to help pay for it, or just cast it straight up. It's fine. It doesn't really matter. So counter magic, more removals in here, and we can see our artifact Mistra's Baubles in this list. With Urza, it makes sense. Early on, you can use it to just sort of generate value, get that card advantage. Emery's here, so you can be able to just cast it from your graveyard and be like, well, this costs nothing. So I'm just constantly checking what you're going to draw, constantly checking what I'm going to draw, and being able to just draw an extra card. Mox Amber's in here because, hey, we have a lot of legendary creatures, right? Asmo's in here, Ragavon's in here, Emery's in here. We've also got Urza in here. So all of these, like, super important creatures are going to be legendary, and Mox Amber is going to help with that. You can just kind of constantly bounce your opponent's creatures with Spellbomb and Emery. You just every time bounce, return your creature, recast Aether Spellbomb with Emery. Cool. If you try to play it again, I can bounce it again and do it all over again. Basically lock one creature out of the game. Shadow Spears, both lists, that lifelink, the trample, it's pretty nice. You can mess with people that have indestructible and hexproof. You'll see like artifacts matter more, and they're going to tutor for artifacts kind of a little bit more. A lot of these you see are going to be that 1 or 0 cost because, of course, we care about Urza's Saga in this list. Otherwise, you see that our land base is just straight up blue-red. It's listed as Grixis specifically because of Daredevil and Street Wraith, but it's a straight up red-blue version. So if you're looking for something that is having the same strategy of I care about discarding stuff to be able to cast Asmo and then generate artifacts, food to be able to sacrifice to deal damage, seems good. But you don't have to rely on the Asmo. Asmo is just like more power behind an Urza list. So it's like, it's really scary because being able to just be like, all right, and now I have this 3/3 and I can generate more food because as soon as he enters or she enters, I am able to get my cookbook, keep discarding, keep getting food, and just keep destroying your creatures. Any creatures that I don't want to destroy off of Asmo, if I want to save my fuel, I can start throwing lightning axes, right? I can counter your stuff. I can just bounce everything. Like the Urza Saga lets me tutor these artifacts. It's scary. I like both these lists, but again, it's if you want more controlling, more staying power, go with our Urza's Kitchen. If you want to go for more creature focus and just sort of that aristocrat-esque strategy, go for the Hell's Kitchen version. Now, lots of people are tweaking and changing lists. These lists might even be changed come next month, but figure since Modern Horizons been out for a little bit, a lot of people have been grinding away on Magic Online and trying to find the most optimal versions of this. We're going to start seeing where the dust is going to settle come next month. So we'll highlight it again because there's going to be other decks to talk about because the modern scene has kind of exploded again where people are really scrambling to get back into it, find some cool decks. Like the scene is awesome with kind of diversity. It wasn't stale anymore. There's lots of different decks trying to kind of vie for that top spot. I mean, people can play Delver in Modern, right? It hasn't really been a straight up viable deck for a long time, and now we can start seeing it with Modern Horizons too. So lots of new decks to be able to talk about. If there's a specific one that you want to hear and kind of highlight on the channel, let me know. Leave a comment down below of what decks you like to see. Also, let me know which version of the Urza's list, or not Urza's list, the kitchen list that you would like to see. Would you rather see Urza's Kitchen, or would you rather see Hell's Kitchen? So thanks for tuning in and watching, guys, and I'll see you all next game. Hey everyone, NanMan here. I'm a StarCraft 2 and Magic the Gathering content maker and commentator. Thanks for tuning in and watching, guys. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and check the description for more information about other content that I'm doing. I've also got a new podcast, NanMan's Nerd Corner, which you guys can find out on Spotify or iTunes. It's got a bunch of Magic content as well as other stuff. Thanks for tuning in and watching, and I'll see you guys next game.